Hey everyone, it's Tim again here. Sorry it took me a while to get a new video done, but recently I had a really good friend of mine pass away, and then at his funeral I found out he was actually younger than I am, which that kind of does things to you mentally, so I had to take some time to recuperate. But this time I'm going to be talking about Absolem. Now, Absolem was the third son of David. David had two sons before them, but they both died in infancy. And Absolem was actually, at this time, he was dealing with frustration. Because what had happened is his sister had gotten raped by her half-brother, and he felt like nothing was being done. So Absolem decided that he was going to do something himself. Here's the thing about frustration, if you don't deal with it correctly. Frustration can actually grow into anger, into disdain, into bitterness, and a lot of people will stop there at bitterness, but there is another level to it, and that level is called rebellion. Now in the Bible, it specifically says that rebellion is the sin of witchcraft, and quite frankly, the reason it says that is rebellion is also a spirit. Now, the spirit of rebellion, I'm at Tusculum University and there's people working around me. I just got off my shift myself. But anyways, the spirit of rebellion is referred to several times in the Bible. And what makes rebellion so dangerous is rebellion will never show up alone. If you notice, as Absalom's planning to take over, he immediately starts talking about how much better he will be than his father. Talks about how he can plan better, he can attack better, his looks are literally, he talks about how much prettier he is than his father, even mentioning his hair, how long his hair is. I don't really know what your hair has to do with anything with you being king. I probably am not the best person to be talking about that. Hey Abel, would you know what? Nah. Abel doesn't watch my videos. He's got so much on his plate. For those who don't know, Abel is the lead pastor of a big local church called The Rock, and he has really long hair. But anyways, Absolem just starts talking about himself and planning an army based on him. That's the thing. You have to be careful, because if you see someone, or even you start yourself, thinking about how much better you will be than the person you're in charge of, you're flirting with rebellion. And usually that does bring one and more spirits into your life. The reason why I keep mentioning that is because Absolem becomes very prideful, and everything is based off of his looks and how handsome he is. This sounds a lot like two others. One of them was Samson, and the other, yes, of course, was Jezebel. Like I said before, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Jezebel loves control. And if you are willing to feed off of what she has with her looks. And if you're willing to give her control, she'll use you. Now, here's the thing. Absalom actually comes very close to defeating David and has him on the run. Here's the thing. One of Absalom's advisors says, okay, you've got him down. You need to wait a little bit. You need to gather your troops and plan out your attack and attack them on all sides, which this would have worked. David was injured, so was Absalom's, but Absalom had more people. He was easier to regenerate. There was another person, though. His name was Hittai, and he was technically a plant of David's. And he does this. Oh no, you're the best person ever. You've got it. You're so much better. You need to attack him now. Go finish him off. You're stronger than he is. Here's the thing. Here's a warning. Not everybody who plays to your ego is for you. Sometimes they're looking to set you up to fall. Absalom decides to listen to Hittai and attack David. And of course, at this time, David's troops were waiting on Absalom, and Absalom is defeated. Absalom then takes off running because he knows he's going to die. As he does this, Absalom's hair gets caught in a tree branch, and his horse takes off out from under him and leaves him swinging. So, as this is happening, David's troops are looking for Absalom, and one of them sees him as they pass by, and one of David's troops tells his general, hey, hang on, I see Absalom hanging there in the tree. The general gets off his horse, walks over to Absalom, draws his sword, and runs him through. Several times, actually, and ends up killing them. Check this out. Absalom's hair, the very thing she was so proud of, is exactly what caused him to be his downfall. On top of that, after this is over, David's troops comes back, and David asks about his son Absalom. And David's general responds with, may everyone who rises up against you be like that man. In other words, your boy is dead. David, instead of rejoicing of the victory, immediately starts crying. He starts weeping for Absalom because of how much he loved him. This is the point where you realize Absalom died trying to forcefully take what was already his. Everyone knew Absalom was going to be the next king. All he had to do was wait patiently. All Absalom would have had to have done was submit to what David was saying. And a lot of times we'll find out ourselves in a very similar situation where we know we're supposed to do something and we're wanting to do it, and God says, wait. Are we going to wait and even when we think it's right there? Or are we going to be overzealous like Absalom did and try to make something happen that isn't ours yet? That's all I have for this time. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.